Hello, hello! As always, let me check if the audio is good. Okay, everything seems to be perfectly good. So, hello everybody, it's the commentator whose PC crashes every 5 seconds here, and welcome to another GRS race of Season 8. Today tackling the Las Vegas Grand Prix. The track is 6.201 kilometers or 3.853 miles long and consists of 17 corners, 10 to the left and 7 to the right, along with 2 DRS zones on the back straight and the main straight of the famous Las Vegas Strip, making that straight one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar. The tires are in the softest range of C3, C4 and C5, with the intermediates and wets available as always if they are gonna be needed. And with that settled, let's take a little look at the standings before we head into the race, with Steven Bekovic still leading the championship by a very nice 27 points. A very nice gap indeed to the Williams behind of Corey McSweeney. Very consistent over the course of the season, not had the highest highs of a win, but like I said, consistency is a key in F2, so faring very nicely in F2. Darrell Bradley also very close there, but not participating in 2 races, and especially in Qatar last time, so he didn't score that many points in those races. And then we do have Connor Hawken in P4. Still getting used to the new wheel that he acquired, and it's not shown him any remorse, as we've seen him making a lot of mistakes in the last 2 races in Jeddah and Qatar respectively. As you can see, the results reflect that. In the constructors, Williams is still leading, but is not having as huge as a gap as it normally does, with McLaren slowly but surely getting close to the current championship leaders. Only 8 points separating the 2 teams, with Aston Martin also behind, just waiting for the other 2 teams to have some DNFs so they can emerge in the battle as well. A huge gap behind by 60 points to Red Bull, all the way down to Mercedes, 30 points difference to the Red Bulls. So it is a very close fight in the P4 and behind. So definitely is gonna be a very fascinating fight until the end of the season, as I do think that we are heading into the race. But I have been pinged, so give me just one moment to check stuff out. Okay, there we go. Like I said before, we are heading into the race. It is, as always, a short qualifying session, 18 minutes, which is going to set the grid for the race, which is half of the real-life race, which is 50 laps. So today we are going to have 25 laps of full midnight racing on the very new street circuit, only debuted last year, and produced a very good race, in my opinion. A lot of people doubted this Grand Prix. I was one of the only people who defended it and said that it was going to be a solid enough race. But when the race actually came live, it was not a solid one, but a very good one. And hopefully that's going to translate into the game as well. We did race in this. We did the race on this track in Season 5 and the All-Star race at the end of Season 7, both races actually being pretty solid in all of the tiers, and All-Stars race, of course, that was a bit fascinating, so to say, as there was full safety cars. I think even more safety cars than expected, because the actual limit is 4 safety cars, but I think we had 5. So yeah, just chaotic, but All-Stars is always chaotic, so that's to be expected. But yeah, overall this track I think produces very solid races. Of course, a lot of the overtakes are going to be made on the main straight of the Las Vegas Strip, like I said before. And maybe if you're brave enough, you can go into turn 1 and turn 4, but those are not the most common overtaking opportunities that you're gonna see over the course of the race. While we are on board with Mitch Snape in Sauber, we are gonna go on board with him for the first lap of the qualifying session. I'm gonna give a little bit of a track guide, but before that, I'm just gonna see the volume once again. Okay, everything seems to be perfectly fine. So, as we are waiting for the Sauber to get to the main straight, we are... I see the stream is lagging for some reason. I'm gonna fix that. Okay, there we go. It's fixed. So, we are on board with Mitch Snip, as I said, in Sauber for the first lap of the Grand Prix as he crosses the finish line to start, braking around 70 meters going into turn 1, go as wide as possible early on the throttle, 3rd gear, perhaps short shift to 4th, flat out turn 3 in 5th gear, stay in 5th gear, maybe even get to 6th, open the DRS very early for the straight in and braking at 100 meters into turn 5, but we did see a massive lockup from the Sauber going very deep into the corner. Now I think it's around 100 meters or 50 meters again for this corner, turn 6. Stay in 2nd. You can use 3rd for extra traction, but 2nd is good for the rotation of the car. So it is a very fascinating corner indeed. Flat out in all of these corners, brake just as you are under the bridge. Don't cut the inside curb. As you can see, it's very bouncy and bollard will sometimes give you damage, but you sometimes might get underbody damage because of the riding of the curb. It's basically a sausage curb, but not really, because it's not colored like that. On the Las Vegas strip, the longest straight, one of the longest straights on the calendar, braking at 120 meters going into turn 14, 15 and 16 flat out in 4th. You can short shift to 5th for more stability, as you saw there, a little bit squirrely on the exit for the Sauber driver. Turn 17, as much on the inside as possible, flat out, and it is going to be a banker of a 132.975. Yesterday we did see a pole time of a 30.9, I think, maybe even the 31s. I do not remember, but it was quite low and faster than this lap time, so there is definitely a lot of time to improve for the Sauber driver, as I think that is going to be Lucas Hodes. No, it is one of the Red Bulls, Caleb White starting their lap. But it is going to be Andy Kong, the McLaren team principal, finishing their lap 131.4. There we go. That's a lap from the McLaren, and it does put them on a provisional pole. The two Mercedes crossing the line. Connor Hawke in P2, currently 31.7. The other Mercedes, the team principal, Zeke Lapage, 44.5. Definitely made a mistake somewhere. Maybe even got blocked by the Haas and his own teammate ahead of him. But we will have to wait and see if he's going to be doing another one. Looks like they are not, because they are using non-ERS. The Williams of Corey McSweeney in P2 in the championship, only 16 thousandths behind of the still current provisional pole sitter of Andy Kong, with the Alpine driver of Charlie Roberts no, that's not John Hearn crossing to start their lap, but we do see Adam Bradshaw crossing the finish line to set another provisional pole time. So very good lap time there. Front Haas driver, newly signed Haas driver. This is going to be his 3rd or 2nd race in the seat. I do not remember which, but unfortunately with the poor performances in the Mercedes, performing under expectations, he was sacked and hired by Harvey Conway, who is currently on the lap on the mediums and is racing now for Haas. The two Aston Martins of HS Moore and Callum Lyons have set a lap time good enough for P4 and P6 respectively for the two Aston Martins. They will probably be hoping for a little bit more, as like we saw before, they are still in a championship battle. Perhaps not in the drivers, but the constructors is still on the card for the team from Silverstone. as these are pretty solid banker laps, to be fair. Adam Bradshaw still having a gap of 4 tenths, but I do think they are on another lap, but they are gonna abandon it, gonna go into the pits. So they are gonna prepare for another one. Jonah Hearn puts himself into P4 for the Alpine driver. I do think they are a reserve. I'm actually not sure if he's been signed to Alpine or not, if he's a reserve or racing full time. I do not know. Maybe if someone knows in the chat, they can tell me. But a very solid lap nonetheless for John there, putting himself into P4. Lucas Hodes on the intermediates, just testing the track conditions out and his configurations on the wheel if everything is working. You normally don't see that in F2, but sometimes it can happen, like today, as we see. The other Williams driver of Callum Morris being demoted from F1, now in F2, actually finishing his lap. That was a little bit of a lag in the session there. But he does put himself into P8, 31.793, only a couple of hundredths behind the 2 cars ahead. So, as I said before, it is very close in the mid-pack. Currently only 3 tenths separating from P2 to P8, so it is a very close grid, definitely. And we will have to wait and see if that's going to be the remainder of the session over the course of the qualifying session, as we do still have 10 minutes left in the qualifying session. The first laps have been finished, so there are still lots of laps to do if people choose to do them. You do have 3 sets of softs available in the qualifying session, along with a set of mediums, as we did see Harvey Conway put on the medium set. The only problem with the medium set is if you use it in the qualifying session, you do not have it in the race, or you do, but it's worn because you've already used it. So that just probably speaks volumes of Harvey Conway's strategy in the race, which, speaking of strategy, it should be quite an easy one-stop, medium to hard, maybe even soft to hard. I doubt it, but hards are definitely going to be used, and we are going to see huge undercuts perhaps being made, either huge undercuts or huge overcuts, as we did say that this is one of the longest straights on the calendar, the Las Vegas Strip at the main straight. So if you don't have that, if you undercut, and the guys you are trying to undercut are in a DRS train, you're gonna lose a massive amounts of time, even with the tire advantage. You're gonna gain in the corners 5 tenths, but you're gonna lose a second on the straight alone. So it is a bit of a compromise to see what people are gonna choose to do, but I guess it's all gonna depend on how the race is gonna fare over the course of the beginning stages of the race, and then the middle stages when the pit stops are actually gonna be open. So it's all gonna be very fascinating and all to play for. But one thing's for sure, Mercedes will want to improve their position in the constructors, currently last with 35 points, as we saw before. Adam Lapich currently on a lap, so we're gonna stay on board with him to see what he is going to do. Third gear, very squirrely on the exit, going off of turn 2, and little lift going into turn 3, but still not a horrible sector 1 so far. We are gonna have to wait and see how he's gonna do going into turn 4. There's an Alpine backwards there, probably catching the Mercedes off guard, who does invalidate, unfortunately, while 12 seconds up. So that is very unfortunate there. But I do think that we will see perhaps a slipstream happening from the Mercedes driver, as that is Corey McSweeney behind, letting Connor Hawken through. We're going to stay on board with the other Mercedes driver, and I cannot wait to see if we are going to see a slipstream happening there. Currently Connor finishing sector 2, and there we go, Mercedes team place happening here. Currently a 5/10 of an improvement from Connor Hawken, currently a provisional 2nd position there, but you will just to see how much time he's gonna gain off of this slipstream, as it is massive gains. And I think most of the teams, when they are gonna see these, they see this, they are gonna start doing the exact same thing. Very nice, not the most optimal, but still a very nice section there in the chicane of 14, 15, and 16. And you're now gonna see another 5/10 of an improvement because of the slipstream, putting him on provisional pole. And that's exactly what I was saying. Slipstream is like God's gift. It's like God coming from heaven, and it's a miracle that He's giving you. And that's basically what Zeke gave to Connor. He gave him a miracle. He gave him a provisional pole position. We are, like I said, now gonna have to wait and see if people are gonna replicate that. We do have the two McLarens very close to one another, 2000s behind each other, very, very close between the two. And it's gonna be fascinating to see if the team principal and the Kong is gonna want to sacrifice this qualifying session to help the current championship leader of Steven Beck, who is waiting to get into the pits. I guess it's gonna be very interesting to see. As we see, I think that is HS Moore having a slight improvement. A little bit squirrely on the exit, hugging a lot of the curb in 14, 15, 16. Using all of the DRS and late pit entry there for the Aston Martin. Probably saw that he was not improving anymore and decided to abandon it very lately. But still enough time to get into the pits. As I don't think other people are on a lap except for the two Williams, I believe. Corey McSweeney, currently P2 in the championship, I think is on a lap. Doesn't have a lot of VRS to spare, so maybe not. The ploy has been fully used. That's gonna lose him at least 2 to 3 tenths at the end of that straight. But still puts himself into P4, a tenth from P2. We are gonna have to wait and see what his teammate is gonna do. Currently 3.5 tenths of an improvement. That is gonna put him in P5 ahead of the two McLarens behind his teammate, but maybe he found something else in the final sector. He did! Another 2 tenths of an improvement, and even closer to his teammate, a half a tenth gap from Corey McSweeney. So, Callum Morris is also wanting to show some pace here in this race. I did not comment. No, wait, did I? I did commentate in Qatar. I don't remember where he finished as he fully goes deep into turn 4. But yeah, I do not remember where Callum finished, but I don't think it was a good result. So for the first couple of races that he's been in F2, he's not really shown a lot of promise that he has, first starting in F1 and then getting demoted to F2. But there is still quite a few races left until the end of the season, 5 to be exact. I don't remember which. I think in order it is Silverstone next, then Baku, Belgium, Monza, and there's one more, but I forgot which one. So there is still some races to show what he can do, and he needs to show it quickly because Williams is currently leading in the constructors by only 8 points. So if they want to remain there, they have to be ahead of the McLarens, which currently they are in P4 and P5 respectively, while the McLarens are P6 and P7. But we are in the ending stages of the qualifying session, where we are gonna see the lap times having a big improvement because of the track evolution. And if you don't know how that works, track evolution is basically when track is incredibly dusty over the course of the session, and in real life, mostly practice sessions, when you get rid of all of that dust and you get more grip on the track and the tires can stick on the track even more, which means better cornering speeds. And that's basically track evolution. As you run longer on the track, there's less dust on the track and more performance can be gained on the racing line, especially. Because you normally see that, because people drive the most optimal racing line, only the dust on the racing line is going to be swept off. And there's going to be the most grip on the racing line. So you're going to gain a lot of time if you stay there, if most people are staying on the racing line. On this game, The track evolution isn't as high as it normally is in real life, as we see a exact Sector 1 from Andy Kong in the McLaren. But as I was saying, the track improvements on this game aren't that major as in real life, but you can still feel a slight difference, which can gain you about a tenth or two, perhaps. During the rainy conditions, actually, you can see a lot of the track improvement because if you just watch the racing line over the course of the intermediate race, for example, you're gonna see a dry line slowly getting there and emerging as we do see team plays like I stated before between the two McLarens and Steven Beck is helping Andy Kong, and I do think we are gonna see the opposite happening next lap with Andy Kong giving slipstream to his teammate. We're gonna have to wait and see if that's gonna happen, but we were on board with Andy Kong. And let's see if it is going to be an improvement for the McLaren team principal, and it is putting himself in P5. Only one position of an improvement, but still not too horrible there from McLaren. But yeah, during the rainy conditions you can definitely see a track improvement, and you will be able to even use dry tires on the racing line. Over the course of the race, because it is just gonna be very dry on the racing line. You're not gonna gain that much time. It's gonna be quite equal, but it is gonna be just very dangerous because you literally just need to stay on the racing line to not spin out of the track. Because if you touch the wet patches even once, you're immediately gonna be in the wall. So it all depends. You can use them, but it is a incredible risk, which is why no one uses that at all, nearly. But it is just one, what's the word? Example of the track evolution in this game. As we are currently on board with the next that's gonna cross the line, as the two Williams have not improved, staying in P4 and P6. But Charlie Roberts is going to be next to cross line in the Alpine, currently not really having the best 14, 15, 16 chicane, but we are going to have to wait and see if it's still going to be an improvement over the course of the other two sectors. And it is 6/10 of an improvement, puts himself in front of his teammate. Steven Bekovic probably did get a slipstream from his own teammate and puts himself into P2, right behind Connor, still on the front row. And nearly, or it is actually a full tenth behind, as we do see Adam Bradshaw not improving there, going into the pits. Harvey Conway next to cross the line, putting himself into P8 for 10ths of an improvement. Improves 4 positions. Harry Swanwick Moore is next to cross the line, and it is not gonna be an improvement with Lucas Holds behind, improving but not by much, staying in P13. Zeke Lapage doing the same thing, staying in last with Callum Lyons putting himself into P4. The Red Bull goes into the pits, and it's gonna be Connor Hawken next cross line, but he goes into the pits with John Ahern putting himself into P5, and that is gonna be everyone who is gonna cross the line. So it is Connor Hawken for, I think, I know it's his first pole position with the wheel, but I do not remember if he already got a pole position earlier in the season. I think this could be his second or third pole position. Probably, I do not know. But still a very nice showing there from the Mercedes driver, taking pole position for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Right beside him, on the front row, it's going to be Steven Bekovic, the championship leader, looking to extend this lead. Behind it is going to be Adam Bradshaw and Callum Lyons in the second row of the grid. John Ahern and Corey McSweeney P5 and 6, Andy Kong and Callum Morris on the fourth row of the grid. Harvey Conway and Charlie Roberts, fifth row. Harris Wonick Moore and Caleb White returning for the first time this season in P11 and P12, Lucas Holtz P13, Mitch Snape P14, and Zeke Lapage in P15 in last position. Definitely wanting to get an improvement there from the Mercedes team principal. So yeah, before we delved a little bit into the strategies, I did say it is going to be probably a very easy, medium to hard. either huge undercuts or huge overcuts. It all depends on the DRS trains that are going to be forming. And in terms of fuel, this track, because you are probably like 70% on throttle, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be quite a decent fuel burn, probably not as much, but I think it could be very solid. I am getting stuff that Corey needs to be invited into the session, so there we go. There is an invite to Corey McSweeney, and hopefully he can join later, because I don't think he can get on the start line. I think he's gonna have to take control of the car later on when the race is actually gonna start. Or maybe they fix that, I do not know. We'll probably just have to wait and see. He is starting P4, so his AI is probably gonna get a horrible start and he's gonna be last. But I am gonna predict that we are gonna see a major crash behind, or not behind, I think in the midfield there's gonna be a huge crash. As speaking of that, we do have 5 red lights. And we are underway for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and like I said before, it is a horrible start by Corey McSweeney, but it is Steven Becco is on the inside line, going into turn 1, taking the lead of the race instantly there, going 3 wide behind are Adam Bradshaw, Connor Hawken, and Andy Kong, I think that is. Andy getting an incredible start there. In that McLaren, trying to go for a move on the Aston Martin, but getting under pressure himself by Connor Hawken. But unfortunately, Connor doesn't get a good line going into turn 4 and does have to concede position. So starting on from pole, currently already lost 3 positions. So the starts are definitely something Connor needs to improve over the course of the race. Charlie Roberts, incredible position there. I think starting from P10, already in P6, right behind his teammate John Hearn, staying where he was in P5. So good stuff, good showing from Alpine there in the beginning stage of the race. Not as much carnage as I was expecting. As I stated before, I was expecting a lot of crashes in the mid pack, but nothing of the sort has happened. Harvey Conway, of course, he is using a little bit of overtake on the main straight, just trying to get rid of the Williams behind, and perhaps making an overtake on Chlorine or Charlie Roberts going into 14. Is he gonna make the move? He does have the inside line, but does brake slightly early. Not brave enough to make the move going into the corner, but there was room there left in the entry and exit of the corner, as we do see. I think that is Adam Bradshaw going into the pits once again. His luck is horrible. As we've stated before, he does have the pace, but just doesn't have the luck. Crashes on the first lap so many times, which is one of the main reasons that he was fired from Mercedes. Not getting the race performances. Has amazing quality pace, race performances, not as much. As behind we do see a battle for the last points paying position. Harris Wonick more and Lucas Holds. Lucas Holds on the inside is going to take that position. A little bit of a contact there made by the two drivers, but nothing major to cause any sort of damage. Speaking of damage, the Aston Martin of Harris Wonick does have an front right end plate missing. So that is very unfortunate from the Aston Martin, but I do think that on this track, normally that slight amount of damage doesn't really amount to anything, as there's not too many high-speed or medium-speed corners that you need to care about. It's mostly slow-speed corners and very slight medium-speed corners. So if you have front-wing damage, that's actually gonna benefit you more, because you're gonna have less drag on the straight and have even more straight line speed. And speaking of straight line speed, we are gonna see a move made for the lead. Nearly a teammate collision there by the McLaren drivers of Andy Kong and Steven Becco is going fully into the back, but thankfully nothing happened there. Still side by side, Callum Lyons and Steven Becco is going into turn 1. Who is gonna take that position? Callum Lyons just backs out of it. He wants to stay behind the McLaren, getting DRS for this back straight. here, but unfortunately because of that he lost quite a bit of time going onto this straight and is not going to be able to challenge for a move again, so he's going to have to stay patient. Behind we are going to see a move happening there by Harvey Conway, very easy move there by the number 69 driver in the Haas, team principal of course. Goes into P6, overtakes John Ahern. John Ahern slightly struggling on the mediums in that Alpine, but thankfully still in this DRS train. Under pressure from behind, Corey McSweeney, but if he can just stay here, I think it's not going to be too big of a problem. But you are going to see this DRS train just extend for multiple laps, as I think we are going to see just a lot of switches in position in the middle of this straight, and that's basically gonna be the only overtakes that you're gonna see, as currently on board with Callum Lyons, who is not close behind, as I think that's mainly because of staying in 7th gear. He did not want to go for the overtake there on the McLaren. He wants to stay behind in P2, which he ultimately does. So, fascinating strategy there. Probably sees that Steven is faster than him, so wants to just use him to extend the gap, as behind we do see Corey McSweeney making an overtake on the inside there on the Haas driver of Harvey Conway. He is going to have now the outside line and the DRS, but actually both drivers have DRS. It's going to be fascinating to see who's going to be faster. The Williams does have the slipstream from the Alpine and is going to make another move down the inside of the Alpine as the Haas makes contact with Charlie Roberts and gets damage in advance because of that. Which honestly I do think is very weird, because that was not a major contact at all. So I'm very fascinated how that fully destroyed the front right or front left end plate of that Haas, who is faking a move down the inside under the bridge before the main straight, but nothing happened from that, as we do see the other Haas driver into the wall, causing a safety car because of debris, which I don't think it's even necessary, because debris is off the line, so I don't know why we need a safety car. That would be fully a virtual safety car, because that's not a major incident at all, as the Haas hits the wall yet again there. But I am gonna actually predict that we are gonna see quite a few people going into the pits, because like I said, the hards, you can make a huge undercut on them, as there we go. We are seeing major undercuts there. From my research, you usually just use like a percentage each lap, so the hearts can easily go to the end, and we are seeing that from everyone here. The only questions are the double stacks, but I don't think anyone is double stacking except for the Alpine driver. No, actually it's not. It's the Williams drivers who are double stacking there. And not Mercedes, no. Not Mercedes. It is only Williams double stacking, as the other drivers stayed ahead. Andy Kong, Charlie Roberts, Caleb White, Mitch Snape, and Adam Lapage staying outside and not boxing. But that safety car is going to be good for Adam Bradshaw, definitely, because it's going to return him into the race. But yeah, it's not a strange part to lose the car at in turn 4, because you quite often on the last game especially saw a lot of people crash there. But the major difference on this track between the last game and this game is that they fully amped the grip levels of this track. Because normally on the F123 game, you did not have any grip, you did not have any traction, you did not have any turning. This track felt like a pain to drive, but in this game it actually feels really nice to drive because of the added front grip and the overall grip on the tires, because you can actually turn and have traction. So on this game it's much nicer to drive on this track, it's much easier to drive on this track, even with the traction getting harder. But overall, overall, I do love this track. It is a really good track. It is mostly a DRS train fest and a slipstream fest, but overall, this track is very. It's not the greatest of all time, but it's not the worst of all time as well. I think it's perfectly solid in the middle ground. If I had to give the rating out of 10, I would give it like a solid 7 or 8 out of 10. I do like this track. It is very nice. I do hate the Sector 2 part. All of Sector 2. I do hate. I do not like Sector 2. It was supposed to be designed differently actually, but because they made the sphere there as the track was being made, they made the sphere on the inside and they had to change the track layout. So if that wasn't the case, I think that Sector 2 would be more bearable. But now it's just a bit scruffy and dodgy and weird. It's not the greatest. I think that's the only place where it really needs to improve. But overall, like I said, it is a perfectly good track, as we did see for some reason Charlie Roberts going from P2 to P13 by boxing into the pits to get hards. I don't know why he just didn't double stack, because I think he wouldn't have lost as many positions if he did double stack, because now he's in P13. I think he would have been at least P10, because he was in front of his teammate, he was in front of John Hearn at the time, so he would have been at least here somewhere, P11, P10. So fascinating strategy there from the Alpine. Perhaps maybe wanted to box, but then realized that he made a mistake by not boxing, and then he boxed. I do not know, but what I do know is that Williams of Callum Morris has damage, which has not been repaired. So that is very fascinating. It's going to be fascinating to see how much time he's going to lose. Safety car is still not... there he goes, because of the devil. Safety car is going to be in this lap. It is going to be fascinating to see the medium runners here still faring on the old tires. It is going to be Andy Kong, the McLaren team principal, showing us of the restart. So let's wait and see how he's going to do, as he actually also has an end plate missing. Front wing end plate and a little bit more on the actual main end plate, so major damage to that front wing of the McLaren. Very strange that they didn't box because of that, but maybe they didn't see a huge performance loss, as they still lead going into turn 1. Connor Hawken making the move on Callum Lyons, getting damage in advance. I think that is for the Aston Martin, making behind contact with the RB driver, giving Callum an opportunity to go for that move. And who's gonna go on a move on the Mercedes, but I don't think they're gonna be able to make it stick, braking slightly early just to not hit the Mercedes there ahead. We are also seeing a nice battle there between the top runners, but no changes yet happening there, people being very cautious and safe, as I don't think we are seeing a huge effect of the new tires as of yet from the stoppers, who don't have to get into the pits anymore. But it all also depends if there's going to be another safety car, which I don't think so. It is likely, but I don't think we're going to get another safety car. But Adam Bradshaw is still in the race, so we might see Adam binning it once again. I guess we'll have to wait and see, as we do have two wide here between Caleb White and Andy Kong, behind also side by side Stephen Beckwith and Corey McSweeney, alongside Callum Lyons also trying to make a move around the outside there, making slight contact with the Williams driver, but thankfully nothing happened from it, as he has been overtaken by Connor Hawken. Caleb White is still gonna lead going into turn 1, so that position has finally been made. He finally got rid of the damaged McLaren. And now that I think about it, I think Andy Kong stayed out to block everyone for Stephen Beckwith, because now he's gonna be overtaken by Mage Snape and Zik Lapage into the same corner, but actually still staying ahead there. from Zik Lepage, but has been overtaken by Mitch, who is going to extend that gap, as now behind Steven Bekobisi is getting overtaken by Corey McSweeney, going for a very audacious dive bomb there, going into turn 5 or at turn 6. But thankfully, very clean there, still left a lot of space around the outside for the championship leader. As we do see our first penalty of the session, Andy Kong 3 seconds, which does make sense, probably extending a lot of the track because of the damage, not having as much downforce as he would have liked. But let's see here, and it's gonna be a double move. Very easy double overtake there by Steven Bekobis, even before the DRS being open. But let's see if Andy Kong is gonna lose even more positions, losing to the Mercedes. Mitch Snape ahead, actually going to lead the race, as behind we do see, I think that is Connor Hawken and Callum Lyons switching positions there, as Corey McSweeney finally overtaken Andy Kong after the DRS straight on the start-finish straight, as finally Andy Kong is going to go into the pits. 3 wide behind into turn 1 between the final points main positions, P7 to P12 there, or P11 I should say. Around the outside, Lucas Sodes on Harvey Conway, which gives Callum Lyons a good opportunity to make that move. Callum Lyons actually demoted quite a few positions, probably making contact with Connor Hawken, as we did see them battle. Switchback from Lucas Hodes, amazing stuff there from the RB team principal. Callum Lyons wanting to go for a move there as well, but not going for it, wanting to stay behind even when the Haas has damage, and now he's getting spun himself. And it's another safety car. Fascinating stuff happening. It seems that my prediction of not having another safety car is not applicable, as we are seeing a Mahavir Raghunathan stuff happening here in Baku of 2019 of not being able to reverse the car, but finally Callum Lyons is back on track and can box for a new front wing and tires, probably. Or not probably, definitely, because you need to switch the tires when you go into the pits. Now, that's probably what these people have been waiting for, to get the benefit of the pit, while Mitch Snape's still not going in, making a fake move into the pits. I think it was still legal, because there is a dotted line in the pit entry before the full line, so I think it could be legal. We didn't see a good... we didn't have a good perspective of it, but perhaps it was probably legal. I know in F2 people want to report very stupid stuff, so they are probably gonna report that later. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see then if the line was crossed when it was the full line or the dotted line. But it nonetheless, Mitch Snape in Sauber is still gonna lead. Probably the only taste of the lead that he's gonna be tasting for the rest of the season, because he's not quite fast enough in this tier to be battling for high points paying positions. He is consistent to get at least some points and scoring points in F1 as well, of course. But the pace to be at the front is just not really existent. Kind of like me, who's just in the back of F1. But yeah, this is probably going to be the only taste of the lead that he's going to be tasting for the rest of the season. But maybe some things could happen, and maybe we are going to see a Sauber win in the race for the first time this season in any tier. You never know. But that's why I love F1. It is very unpredictable. We're just going to have to wait and see. And yeah, speaking of Sauber, I have also joined Sauber as a official F1 driver. I have left my team principal role in Ferrari for multiple reasons, which I'm not gonna count because I do not remember them at the back of my hand. Mainly motivation and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna be driving for Sauber over the course or for the rest of the season actually. in F1, so it's gonna be very fascinating to see if the Sauber is still gonna be in the mud or if we are actually gonna be improving some positions. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Or we might see a lot of teammate collisions because me and David, David being the team principal of Sauber, we've had our fair moments of collision last season and this season. Austria, for example, season 7, fully going into the back of me, did David, and then me killing him in round 1 in Australia, of course. Fun moments. Those are the most recent ones that I can remember, and I don't remember anymore. If David's in chat, he can probably remember. But yeah, we've had our fair share of collisions, but now we are gonna see even more teammate collisions because we are gonna be teammates. Or maybe not. You never know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how the season's gonna fare. But yeah, short. All things considered, yeah, I am now driving for Sauber, not Ferrari anymore, not being a team principal. Now just a driver. So yeah, I do not think we are gonna see the safety car going in this lap, as we are still waiting for Callum Lyons to get to this train of cars led by the safety car. Or maybe we actually will, because the Aston Martin is rushing, speeding his way through, nearly colliding into the wall of 13. But if it is gonna go in, it is gonna be pretty late, and it actually does go in! Fascinating stuff there. And like we stated before, it is gonna be led by Mitch Snape. As it is gonna be fascinating to see if the restart is gonna be good on those 10 lap old hards, 4 laps older than the people behind who have already boxed, Mitch being the only non-stopper currently this race, so still has to do a mandatory stop over the course of the race. It all depends when he's gonna do it, but he goes underway to the line and is still gonna emerge in P1 going into turn 1. So very good restart there by the Sauber driver. Goes fully wide there going into turn 1 and 2, but also goes wide there into turn 3. Steven Bekovi is trying to do a switchback there, not succeeding as he's not using as much battery as the Sauber driver, so just wants to stay behind there. As Mitch has a massive backhand snap there, getting overtaken by both the McLaren and Williams, getting dive bombed. The McLaren actually is, but he is left space around the outside as the game for some reason is lagging. I don't get how, like before, in all of the F1 games, when you spectate, it never lags. There was a new update for the game, and now the game lags in spectate. Like, what are they doing with with this game? It's horrible. Like, it never lagged when I was commentating, and now it just lags. But enough of that, never mind. It is gonna be Connor Hawken trying to make a move on the Sauber driver using all of the battery that he has, as Mitch Snape actually is trying to make a move around the outside into 14. He is still staying there, makes contact with the Mercedes as the Mercedes hits the wall, and he's gonna be retired by, I think that is Harris 1 week more, as the other Aston Martin nearly gets killed by going into the back end of the Mercedes. That was fascinating stuff there. I do not know what happened there. On the commentator POV, it definitely looked like there was more than enough space to go there on the inside and avoid hitting the wall. But basically what happened, he just hit the wall on the inside, went into the side pod of Mitch Snape of the Sauber, which fully steered him on the inside line, and he got killed by HS Moore. Fascinating. Fascinating stuff there. Welcome to F2. Chaos, chaos, and more chaos ensues over the course of the entire race. Very, very fascinating stuff. As this time, the restart is going to be led by the championship runner-up of Corey McSweeney, currently in P2, 27 points behind of Steven Bekovic behind. And now that we have a safety car and the Williams is leading, I think it is fair to talk a little bit about the real life F1, as Williams have sacked Logan Sargent for Franco Colapinto, which I have incredible mixed feelings about. I do and don't think that Sargent had to be replaced. In terms of the performances, he wasn't that far behind Albon, but in terms of crashing and stuff, I can see why Williams wanted to fire him, because he did crash quite often. More often than Albon, because Albon had his fair number of crashes as well. In terms of that, I can see why he was getting sacked, but the person replacing him, Franco Colapinto, I think is not... If they want stability, I don't think Franco Colapinto is really the driver to get that stability with. Because, first of all, let's take a look at his performances in F3 and F2. So he did one season in F3 in F1 23 and had 5 podiums, 2 of which were wins. So, and he finished, I think it was P5 in the drivers' standings, around 50 points behind the championship leader, who I forgot who it was. I think it was actually Gabriel Bortoleto, because people are saying that he's going to win F2 and he's going to do something similar to Charles Leclerc and George Russell and Oscar Piastri, winning F3 and F3 back-to-back. But yeah, looking at his F2 performances, this is his first F2 season, currently running around 50 points again behind the championship leader of Isaac Hadjar, has 1 win to his name and 2 other podiums of P2 and P3, I believe, and that win was in the sprint. So his pace is not the greatest, but still sitting in P5, 50 points off of the championship leader. He has decent consistency, but if they sacked Sargent for crashing so many times, why would you hire an inexperienced F2 driver who's also gonna be crashing into the wall? Because he also doesn't have that much experience in driving F2 cars, let alone F1 cars, because he only did one FP1 session ever, and that was in Silverstone of this year. So I think the change was a solid enough reason to behind it, but the driver who is going to replace Sargent I don't think is a good pick if Williams wants stability. I think there were many better options if they want stability. Plus, looking at the upgrades that Williams brought in the Netherlands, they have a chance to battle with Alpine and maybe RB and Haas for P7 in the constructors, but I guess they don't want it. I guess they do not want it, as we do see the Williams of Corey McSweeney getting that restart, Adam Bradshaw retiring in the pits once again, retiring from race there, as Corey McSweeney massive lead there, along with Steven Bekovic and Lucas Oates near... actually, it is already a second, so people behind do not have DRS. So amazing restart. Perhaps some collisions were in the back of the field, which I did not see. But I think the top 3 is gonna be quite settled then, because I don't think people are gonna be catching them over the course of the race because of the DRS. As Callum Morris is not gonna have DRS next lap. So yeah, really good restart there from the top 3. We are gonna have to wait and see how it's gonna finish, because it's definitely not gonna finish this way in P1, P2 and P3 as it stands. It could, but it's a very low probability of that happening. As behind we also do see A move happening there between the Aston Martin of Callum Lyons and Charlie Roberts. As Callum makes the move, Steven also gets into the lead of the race. The two championship leaders battling it out very nicely there. And it is going to be fascinating to see who is going to win. But yeah, those are my thoughts for Williams and their condition in this middle of the season, going from Monza onwards. And people might not agree with me, but that is why that is my own opinion. And if anyone else has different opinions, I do respect them. And that is how it should be. But it is not. But yeah, I just realized the Mercedes of Zick Leipzig soft tires on that car. It is a very fascinating choice. It is gonna be sketchy to see if they are gonna go to the end, as he was nearly pushed into the wall there again, 2 times actually in a row. By Charlie Roberts, but does get a very nice run on him around the outside because of the tire difference of the C3s and C5s, and does get ahead of him with Andy Kong nearly going on a move there on the Alpine, thankfully bad backing out of it, and does get overtaken by Caleb White. Just remaining patient there, but we are gonna see, I think, 3 wide between Mitch, Snape, Caleb and Andy Kong going into 14, maybe even 4 wide. HS Moore getting in this battle as well. We're gonna take this camera angle as everyone is gonna take it quite cleanly. HS Moore down the inside, leaving just enough space for the Sauber to avoid the wall on the inside there into 15, and does take that move along with Caleb remaining in P9. And Andy taking a little bit of a move down the inside into turn 1, but not doing anything with it, staying still in P10 on the final points paying position. And if you don't know how points work in F1, it goes from P1 to P10 as follows: 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. You also get a fastest lap point if you get it anywhere. And if you finish the race, of course, I think. Not like in real F1 where you only get it if you finish in the top 10. And in the league, in this league, you also get a point for pole position. So Conor Hogan, even though he retired from this race, he is still gonna emerge 1 point in advance because of the pole position. So good things for him. So he at least gets something out of this race and not nothing. As we do see Caleb White making a very easy overtake there on Charlie Roberts. Again, tire advantage. The new mediums doing very well there, as Andy Kong also goes on a move, as Caleb is not going to be able to stay there because he was not in the detection point for DRS and he did not get it, and he gets overtaken by 3 cars in 1 corner. And even before the corner, as Mitch Snape makes contact with the back end of that Red Bull, as yeah, he is gonna have to make those overtakes once again, which I don't think he's gonna be happy about. But that is why you have to strategize on that straight when you are behind people to get DRS. As we do see there, top of the line. Now HS Moore going deep into turn 3, and it's going to be a very easy move there by Caleb White. But the Aston Martin does have slipstream from the McLaren ahead. It is going to be too wide from the guys ahead and behind, as I think that is a slight contact between the 2 drivers of Charlie Roberts and Andy Kong, but thankfully no damage there, as Harry was nearly put into the wall. I don't think damage... Now there's damage, because he goes into the back of him, as Caleb also loses the back end of his Red Bull, goes into the wall, also gets damage of his own accord, and now is soon gonna be overtaken by the Sauber of Mitch Snape as well because of that, as he gets a horrible run actually going into the main straight. And yeah, very fascinating stuff there, as we are going to see a change in position in the lead. between Steven Jacobs and Corey McSweeney. But people behind are still battling here. We are again gonna see 4 wide nearly going into 14. It is gonna be the Red Bull on the inside. Contact between the Alpine of John Ahern and I think that was Andy Kong. Harrisonic Moore on the outside of Mitch Snape, who made contact with Charlie Roberts, who now is on the inside of Charlie Roberts, and I think he's gonna go on John Ahern as well. But he does get a very horrible line there, so he is gonna just stay behind, but does overtake one Alpine. Now the other is on the cards there, but he also has DRS there, but the Aston Martin's straight line speed is actually quite decent. Who's gonna go down the inside, going into turn 4 once again, like before, and it is still gonna be side by side there. Caleb White also defending his position ahead, while HS Moore does get it. As we see a change in position behind as well, Mitch Snape and Charlie Roberts. Mitch hitting the wall, I believe, and ghosting there. Ahead of Chlorine, but he was ahead, I believe, already. It all depends if they are gonna have DRS once again. I do think they are gonna be staying there, as it is a 3-second time penalty for Charlie Roberts for extending the track on the inside. As ahead we are seeing a change in position with Callum Morris and Harvey Conway, but I'm more interested in this battle. Once again, HS Moore and Andy Kong side by side, and Harry is finally gonna get that position, finally gonna get ahead of this train of cars. But he is gonna get overtaken again, as behind we do see Charlie Roberts in the wall. But I do think Harry could get overtaken, as it's gonna be 3 wide going into turn 1. Kick, Caleb White around the outside, Andy on the inside. He actually still stays there, as Andy Kong has been put into the wall, which gives John Ahern a free position there. Free position there for John Ahern in P10 final points paying position. Carnage happening behind here. It's very fascinating stuff. And I think finally we can get a little bit ahead of that pack of cars, as finally Callum Morris has gotten himself near the DRS of the leading 3 cars. It all is gonna matter if he's gonna be able to stay there, which I think he could. But he is not. He is not gonna get DRS for this straight, and he is gonna lose that time once again, getting overtaken by Harvey Conway. Is there gonna be any switches in the lead? Corey faking a move down the inside, but probably just wanting to get a little bit of clean air, cooling the engine to get more power, because you can very easily heat up the engine in this race, because you are just staying in a DRS train, so the engine is gonna be fully overheated and you're gonna be down on power. So I think that is Corey's strategy, to just get outside of the dirty air for a little bit of time to just cool the engine and cool the brakes, even, as we are getting more lag in the race again. As yeah, you gotta love the game, as they are still staying quiet here in the leading pack. But who's not staying quiet is gonna be John Ahern, Caleb White, and Andy Kong. Caleb White trying to go down the inside into turn 4, fully deep, getting damage for Caleb White, as he is definitely gonna have to box. There is no way that he has a full wing, and he does not. Harrisonic Moore gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple extensions there for the Aston Martin driver. That's gonna be very bad, because that is gonna move him outside the points if Mitch Snape is gonna be a little bit quicker, which we will have to wait and see. But he does have at least P10 on his hands with damage, so we are gonna have to wait and see if that's gonna stay like that. A switch in the lead once again for McSweeney, overtaken there for P1, and behind it is gonna be Callum Lyons, Callum Morris, and Harvey Conway there battling for P4. the final scraps from the podium, as Callum Morris is gonna be down the inside into turn 1. Very nice rotation there from the Williams, as Harvey does go deep and gets overtaken by the Aston Martin there as well going into turn 2, but has a nicer line going outside of turn 3. The Aston Martin has slipstream, so it all depends who's gonna stay ahead. Harvey Conway is gonna be behind as he brakes slightly earlier for the corner and lets the AMR through. So, fascinating stuff there. I do not think that Callum Morris is gonna be able to get close to the next DRS train, as he is not really improving that much. Plus, if Callum overtakes him, he's not gonna be able to get there because of the 16 lap pulled hards. Harvey, perhaps, you never know, but I do think that it's gonna be over for these three, and their hopes for a podium, I think, are gonna be over. But at least P4 is still on the cards. A good points paying position, as Callum does overtake for P4. Lucas Soates gets a time penalty, so a podium actually now is even more on the cards because of that, for Callum and Harvey especially. So it's actually gonna be all to play for because of that penalty, as it is gonna be Callum Morris and Callum Lyons side by side into turn 1, not leaving too much space around the outside, giving Harvey another opportunity to overtake, but slight contact pushes him wide into turn 3. Has to stay behind, but now I think that was Callum being quite desperate, because he wanted to stay within 3 seconds there of Lucas Holtz, who does overtake Steven Beckwith for P2. So Lucas trying to get a move on, saying to these two lads, we had a nice battle, but we need to extend the gap, as never mind, he's gonna be putting himself in the wall. And he's gonna give himself damage. And now podium is back on, at least for Callum and Harvey Conway, because Callum Lyons still has that penalty, unfortunately. But it is gonna be Steven Beck, who is not in the DRS anymore. He's gonna have to use all of his DRS if he wants to get inside of it, which he is. And thankfully for him, the battle for the win is still gonna be on. It was very, very close there to give a free win to the Williams, but Steven is not gonna back out of that, as Callum Lyons does overtake Lucas Oates very easily, going into 14. And now is gonna want to get those 3 seconds from people behind, while it is currently a second and 4/10. So in 2 laps, I don't think that's really gonna happen. But they are not in the DRS, so maybe. But with Lucas Oates now carrying damage, I don't think that Callum is gonna be able to move away from the pack behind, and I think unfortunately the podium is gonna be lost by the AMR driver there. But it is gonna be still a fascinating battle here for the lead of the race, as the McLaren goes fully deep there, as Callum Lyons gets another time penalty added to his name later on. It is probably going to be 6 seconds, as Caleb White gets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Speaking of penalties, as we said, Callum Lyons 6 seconds, Lucas Oates 3, HS Moore 3, Andy Kong 3, Caleb White 3, and Charlie Roberts 3. And that fully diminishes all of the chances for Callum Lyons to get a podium there, but he is gonna still stay at least in P6, 8 points ahead of his teammate. Definitely not what he would have wanted, but don't extend and you're gonna get positions. You're not gonna get a penalty and you're gonna stay where you want to be, which hasn't happened, as he's trying to use all of his ERS, being at the 0 ERS as well, going on to the start-finish straight to start the final lap of the race. So it's still all to play for. Harvey Conway getting a 3-second time penalty So maybe actually Callum could stay in like P6 or 5, we never know, as it is gonna be Callum Leon's overtaking for P2 in the race, but I think Steven is just trying to save ERS there, and yeah, you can see using non-ERS on the McLaren, the Williams ahead having a huge backhand loss going into the second sector there. I am gonna predict that it's gonna be a fairly easy move there happening from Theo Bekovic, as we do see a Mercedes in the wall of Zeke Lapage. Mitch Snape is gonna get the final points paying position of P10 if he doesn't crash himself. But I am more interested in this. Is Steven gonna have enough battery to overtake both of the cars going into the chicane of 14, 15, 16? And it is gonna be incredibly easy for the McLaren to overtake the two drivers, as Corey McSweeney and Callum Leon going side by side there. Corey braking fully late, not leaving any space for the Aston Martin there, as Corey is gonna spin into the wall and is gonna lose even more positions there, as Steven Bekovic is gonna win the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Callum Leon is gonna be P2 of the line, but it all depends where he's gonna end up with the penalties here. 3 wide between these drivers, and it is going to be Harvey Conway in P3 with Lucas Oates in P4, Callum Leon's P5, and Corey McSweeney has to fare with P7 because of the spin. John Hearn puts himself in P6, a very, very good position there. Finishing where he started, I believe. Starting P6, finishing P6 for the Alpine driver there. And the Kong P8. A solid result for the team principal in the McLaren, but more points were definitely on offer. Harrison Neckmore P9, nearly getting P8, and Mitch Snape gets the final points paying position of P10, getting a point for Sauber. Zeke Lapage is gonna be P11. After that collision into the wall in turn 14. Unfortunate there for the Mercedes, as they score 0 points yet again. Very, very unfortunate for Mercedes, as they are definitely not having any luck in F2. In F3 and F1 they are very solid. In F2 they are just bottling every single position. Very unfortunate for the Mercedes. And first of all, we're going to see the incident reports, and then we're going to say the rest of the grid, as it is going to be Caleb White returning, showing a lot of promise there actually in the beginning stage of the race, but unfortunately I think contact or a spin putting him outside points, but he does get a fastest lap point nonetheless. For the Red Bull driver, I think probably a reserve, I do not have a clue, with Charlie Roberts in P13, also showing a lot of pace with a solid start, but again, everything back down. Adam Bradshaw, normal stuff, DNF very over the course of the race, and then Connor Hawken also DNF, unfortunate for the pole sitter, but still gets a point for the pole position. So yeah, a very, very fascinating race there, I would say. Big contenders for driver of the day: Callum Morris, Harvey Conway, and Lucas Oates, definitely big contenders, all starting from the back of the grid and then putting themselves on the podium and P4, which should be commended. But all three of those drivers having very clean race, and that is what you want to have in this league racing scene. Just a clean race, and that's gonna improve you many positions, and especially in F2 in this league. F2 is very chaotic, as you saw. 3 safety cars when yesterday in F3 we had 0. Just one virtual safety car. So yeah, fascinating stuff there. I have 4 pings for some reason in F2 chat. I do not have an idea why. And it's all for inviting Korean. Don't ping me in Discord, because I'm not gonna see it. Say it or say it in chat like people said it afterwards, because I'm not watching Discord at all when I stream, because my game likes to crash if I alt tab. which is very nice. Thankfully today we didn't have any issues like last time. Last time we had my PC freezing, which was very fun. But yeah, interviews, interviews. Interviews. Yeah. Okay, who was top 3? Top 3. Top 3. It was. Oops. My stream is very. Was it? Don't do that. Okay, there we go. Steven Beckery, Callum. Okay, we are gonna get some interviews happening, which is very nice. Hopefully. Maybe.
Oh.
Oh, hello there.
Hello. I've missed you, Dino. I've missed being on the podium.
Indeed, indeed. It has been quite a bit. It has been quite a bit.
Yes.
Okay, we are gonna just wait a little bit longer to see if Steven is gonna join us. If not, we are gonna start from bottom upwards. So let's just wait 5 seconds. Okay, 5 seconds have passed, and the first one that is going to be interviewed is going to be Harvey Conway. As you've already stated, welcome back onto the podium. First of all, congratulations. And looking at your qualifying position, you qualified, if I remember correctly, 9th. Did you ever expect to get onto the podium this race?
It wasn't in my mind, but there was a lot of carnage that I expected to happen. There was, 3 safety cars in the race, and I got damaged twice, I think, which was annoying, but somehow I got P3, so I'll take it.
Indeed. As you stated, 3 safety cars over the course of the race. How hard is it to keep calm in terms of that, and then a huge DRS train, as Las Vegas normally provides a DRS train? How hard is it to keep focused in those conditions?
It's very hard, especially in some corners, as you're very close to the wall. So if you brake and you hit the wall, then that's, you're going to get damaged. So it's not the best. But me and Callum was just DRSing each other to catch up to Lucas, which the top 3 were obviously fighting, so we gained loads of time.
Indeed. And the final question, this result of P3 gives you 15 points, pushes you 1 point behind Sauber in P7 in the Constructors, I believe. And you are going to be close to Racing Bulls as well, only I think 20 points behind, and Red Bull as well. So are your expectations going to be quite high to try and get ahead of that back to secure P4, or are you currently happy where you are and exceeding expectations?
I mean, I don't have a clue. Next race I'll probably bin it in a wall, so I can't really say too much.
Nah. I mean, it's Silverstone next, so
yeah.
So whilst thankfully for you are gonna be quite far.
As well.
It is also a sprint race.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna get P3 again, and I'm gonna qualify 6th.
Hmm.
There you go. There's
Okay.
my prediction.
Okay. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep you to that word. And once again, congratulations on the podium, and thank you for doing the interview. And good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And next to be interviewed is gonna be Callum Morris. Welcome. As always, congratulations on getting the podium position, P2. I think you were also awarded the driver of the day by the game because of starting, I think it was P9 and finishing P2.
8 or 9.
I think it was also 8th or 9th. So I'm gonna ask you the same question as I did Harvey. Did you ever expect to get onto the podium qualifying that low?
Honestly, yeah, because in quali, it was just went completely wrong because coming out the pit lane on my first lap, my wheel turned off, so that gave me damage out the pit lane, which kind of just ruined all of my runs. So I couldn't get out for a final run in quali, which I could have had a higher position in. And on the race start as well, my wheel also turned off, which made me go into my AI and drop at least 4 or 5 positions to like P13. But luckily the safety cars happened, so I could fix my damage and everything, and I got kind of lucky with the penalties and up ahead, but I think I had enough pace to be that high if I didn't have any of the problems, but it was still a good race.
Indeed, those safety cars were definitely very fortunate to get you back into the race. Now, a similar question again as Harvey Conway. Williams, I believe, are still leading in the constructors. Is it hard to stay in that position and try to get consistent results to stay ahead of the charging McLarens?
Well, it should have been a 1-3 today, but on the final lap, Callum Leon's, I just looked at it back, and Corey went round the outside. It was a late lunge, but I think he was making the corner. And then he got put in the wall by Callum, also giving him a penalty, so it could have been a lot more for Williams today. But it's still a good point. And yes, the McLarens are very good, especially Steven. But at the end of the day, we're still leading F3, F2, and the overalls, so I just need to catch us, I guess.
Indeed. And I think my final question is, of course, I think everyone here knows the story of you being an F1 driver getting demoted to F2, so I just want to ask if there is any change of mentality going from the highest tier to the mid-pack.
Not really, because I only didn't race because I was having, in F1, because I was having technical issues with my Xbox. So that was just causing me to DNF or not start or just disconnect every race. And I'm mainly in F2 now because I didn't play the game for a long time, and I'm a lot slower than I was at the start. So I feel like I'm kind of where I'm meant to be. I'm not like I should be higher. And not really a mentality change. I'm just driving and getting points.
Alrighty then. Well, as always, congratulations on the podium once again, and we will have to wait and see if we're gonna see you even more in this position over the course of the season, and if Williams is gonna take the top step or if McLaren is gonna get you. I just wish you good luck over the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And that is gonna be it for the interviews. Steven Bekovic is not gonna join us. He is not available, it seems, so we are just gonna end things here. So, if you've enjoyed the race and the commentary, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out to make better content for you, as we are still revamping stuff. Also for the other social media stuff, we are trying to post more shorts now. As you see, one of the newest ones has been posted, I think today already. So yeah, it really helps us out to make better content for you guys to watch. And yeah, speaking of the links, like I already said it before, there are links in the description for the social medias for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So if you want to follow us there, you will be able to keep in touch for some of the updates that happen in this league. And then there is, of course, the Discord link. You can join the server to apply to race. As we do have 3 tiers, all racing on Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7 p.m. UK time, and you will be, after you complete the time trial tracks and post your sign up, which are Miami and Netherlands, you are gonna be put in your respective tier where your pace is most suitable. So, and if you don't want to do that, you can apply for, I think staff signups are also open, so you can help us out in the steward department, commentary, event organizing, and similar stuff like that. Or if you don't want to do any of that, if you just want to chat with our drivers, you just heard some interviews from them, and you can see that they're very friendly. You can talk to them about anything, and you can make some new friends maybe. So if you want to do that, you can also join. So yeah, I think that is everything that I needed to state. So once again, I hope everyone enjoyed the race, the commentary, and the overall spectacle. And my name is Kikun, and I will see you next time for the sprint race in Silverstone. So stay tuned until then, and have a good night.